Hello everyone, welcome to This Game Ware's Building Chester Zoo series. This is episode 14 and it focuses on part 2 of our chimpanzees. As you can hopefully make out in the distance, we've got a few of the little blighters playing about on the island there. In front of us though is the main focus of our video today. It's the building that goes alongside the enclosure. The last episode we focused on the outside and this climbing frame and the planting around it, and then this week we're focused on the building and the planting around the area and also the enclosure fences, the animal fence and the visitor side fence. So we are going to have a wander over to the building and have a little look. So in the zoo, if you wander down here, you've got two options of path that you can take. You can take the main route down on this path, or you can actually go in here and get a little bit of a closer look at the chimpanzees. And there are also a couple of little woodlandy path type things, if you can call them that. They're not very big, they're just sort of cut through the foliage. So this is the first view of the entrance to this building, and I actually think that the zoo has gone to a good deal of trouble to give you some really quite impressive, quite nice views of this building. I'll pop a little Google image up of this building from this sort of angle, so that you can see how it compares. They actually call it the Chimpanzee Breeding Centre, presumably because they're in the breeding program. The doors here are based on the doors that I built for the office building over there, which also houses the library. I have scaled them down slightly and made them a little bit more utilitarian, a bit sparser, so they've got silver handles and hinges instead of the gold that we had on the building prior. The flooring in here for the path isn't accurate to real world. I just quite like the patterning of this path, and I don't get to use it very often, so I thought I'd use it in here. It seems to fit in terms of theme. So if we look up, this is by far the most difficult part of the whole process of building this enclosure, this roof. So because it doesn't match any of the gradients that you get in the game, I couldn't use any of the pieces that are given to us in the game for roofs, the 1s, the 2s and the 4 metre inclines. And I had to build this all from the geometric pieces. So actually you can probably see on the inside we've got these lines. Now the lines are actually for the effect of, hopefully the effect of tiles, or at least to give it some kind of texture, because this is a tiled roof for the most part, and if I'd lined all of the geometric pieces up they would have looked very flat and plain, and it wouldn't have looked like a roof at all. It would have just looked like some kind of funnel that had been placed on top of the walls, and I didn't want that at all. So I said that this is actually the most difficult part of the structure. The actual most difficult part of this structure was actually these windows. I've had to build these windows from scratch using the glass panes, the smallest glass pane. I think this is a 1 metre by 0.5 metres. I think the numbering is a bit off for the glass panes, so I'm not entirely sure how big they actually are. So this is the other major section of the interior. So we've got a nice big climbing frame, quite a different type of climbing frame to our outdoor ones. This is quite a symmetrical one in terms of the framework, and then we've got a lot of smaller platforms. Now this space is actually in the real world, in the real zoo, this space is actually far messier, far less tidy than actually this is, because the zoo has put in all kinds of netting and like cargo nets and rope work and things like that to make this a fun place, a nice place for the chimpanzees to be in. But obviously we don't have anything that I can use to replicate that in any good way, because this is such a small space. I can't do what we did for our outside cargo net using the trellis pieces, but I don't think it matters too much. I think that the effectiveness of the frame itself, how large it is, and the fact that it's inside as well, I think really works to bring this space to life. Now there is supposed to be water in this little channel down here, but obviously we couldn't get any water in because there was nothing to bound it. The game didn't like it, didn't have anywhere that I could place water there. We have got the doors through to the other side of the enclosure here. I've mocked up some animal doors, and they can enter and exit through those, and then they can also get back outside from here as well. And if we scoot over to the very end of here, I've actually popped in well, he's just walking through the wall. That's another one of our ghosts, I guess. I've popped in a keeper's hut as well, so that it looks out onto the indoor area for the chimpanzees. I don't know if they have this sort of thing in the zoo, but it makes sense to me that they could monitor the animals while they are preparing their food or doing whatever jobs they need to do in this area. They can keep an eye on the animals, make sure that things are going all right. So that was the idea behind that. If we go outside, I'll just have a quick gander, see what all the chimpanzees are doing, and our keeper just been making the food. Now he's putting the food out. That is the frame from last week as well, so you can see the difference between the outdoor frames and the indoor frames. If we exit through the walls, it seems, out this way, I can show you what we've come to from here. So all the new stuff from this point of view. So we've got this fencing here, which fences off the visitor side over here from the staff side over there, the off-show side. This is going to be an enclosure, but we won't talk too much about that because that's not why we're here. There is a gate. You'll see a few of the gates that I've done by this point. So this is just another one of them with a little lock on, and then fencing and planting. The real star of the planting, as far as I'm concerned, the thing that I really enjoyed doing the most was this little hideaway space, which actually, perfect timing, one of our zookeepers is going to use. So this is pathed all the way through here, and you can walk from, it's sort of like a meander line through the, oh, he's turned around, he's not interested in coming in here with us. You can walk through from one side to various other exits, so actually you can exit out of here and go see the chimpanzees, or you can exit straight forwards and go elsewhere, so that will be the lemur enclosure, and then there's another exit over here, so there's a total of 4 exits from, this was a little bit more overgrown, I guess they need to pay a bit more attention to that, get it cut back, but that is actually based on something that is in the zoo. I will pop a little image up to show you what the actual zoo version looks like. I've had to use bamboo here to create the structure of the space. I'm not entirely sure what the plant is that they use to do that, but the bamboo is the only suitable one really that we had. It's very bushy, as you can probably tell, so it's a little bit difficult to get the effect that I wanted, but I think I did a reasonable job, so you can, I'm sure, let me know if I didn't in the comments. So the last bit to show you, I guess, is the fencing around the edge. So the fencing is actually quite mixed. We've got a glass fence around this part of the enclosure that is seconded by the same sort of fencing, wooden fencing, as we had around our camels. And then it gives way to this like 2-part fence that is like a dry stone wall, but then it's got this anti-climbing structure beyond it, plus the camel type fence that we've got here as well. So this fence here, if I go in and have a little look, it's actually the New World sign that we've used, and I've backed them onto each other so that there are actually 2 signs that are back to back on that to make it all like completely metallic, because it was the only, again, it's one of the only good ways that I've found to create these metallic panels that are the right size for this sort of anti-climb stuff. We actually used it on our Spirit of the Jaguar. The outside areas have got the same sort of thing on the top for there. So that goes all the way around here, a little bit of planting there. The outside of the enclosure actually around this area is interesting in so much as they don't actually really have any planting between these 2 fences, between the wall and the fence. It's just sort of bark or gravel or something. That is our attempt at a willow tree, which you might have clocked in the last video. So the final thing to point out, I guess, is this back wall here. That is actually attached to what is going to be our tropical house, and I've been told that this used to be the chimpanzee's house. So this was part of the chimpanzee enclosure, and they would live in this was their interior space, and this is presumably, this has replaced that. So I assume that in terms of structure, that is what these things are here. They are some kind of door that has been closed off or something, so that the chimpanzees would have been able to get out into their outdoor area. So that is about it. Give you a quick aerial view of the whole thing. Oh, actually, yeah, that's a ladder. That is just up the side of the building. I used bamboo and girders, actually. I used the coloured bamboo from the South America pack to create the railings, because there is, again, a bit of a lack of good railing material in the game, unfortunately. So that's what I did for that. So yeah, if I give you, as I said, an aerial view, that is what we've got so far. It will look even better once we've got the tropical house done, because that sort of serves as a backdrop for this enclosure and for the surrounding area. But I think this area is really coming along. We've now got the 3 main exhibits for this space: the Spirit of the Jaguar, the Realm of the Red Ape, both of which have got their own videos that you can find in the playlist, and then we've got our chimpanzees to complete the trio. I did say in the previous video that we'd be working on tapirs next. There was a request from one of our viewers, NXV Alpha. That has changed. The reason being, the tapirs used to be here, but they've since been moved across the zoo, and I was still under the impression that they were here, but they're not. So what I'm trying to do, just to explain how this is working, I'm working out from this corner across the zoo, sort of this way and that way out, so that I can get everything in place relative to each other. That's what all of these empty buildings are, and outlines of buildings. We have pretty much, once we've got the okapis and the Congo buffalo and the okapis in, we've pretty much filled out the space between our entrance and this section of the zoo. So we've got almost the whole front of it done, bar the rhinos over right in the corner. We've got 1 rhino enclosure over there. So making good progress. I'm quite happy with how everything's turning out. Let me know what you think in the comments and on our social media if you fancy having a bit of a chat. We are available most times, so just leave us a message anytime, anywhere. All the links are in the description. Leave a like if this is your first video. Subscribe if it's your second video and you haven't subscribed, or your third or your fourth or your fifth. Please do subscribe. We are trying to get to 100 subscribers, just so that we can get rid of that silly name that lack of name. I want to change our URL so that it says youtube.com/thisgamewhere. Nice and easy to find, and nice and easy to give to people as well, rather than lots and lots of random letters. So yeah, please do help us to get to 100. That would be awesome, and we will see you next time for our 15th episode.